All right, so we worked through a couple of these examples together, looking at how to get rid of parentheses and how to combine like terms. And then I asked you to walk through the next four. Try those first. All right. So if we look at each one of these to make sure that you simplified correctly, in the first example, all you really have to do is get rid of parentheses. All right. So the main thing here is to note what's in front of the parentheses is a plus, and that means I can just drop the parentheses. All right. Parentheses can just go away. And so I did that. I just dropped the parentheses. And then the only thing I really did to simplify was right here. All right, when you end up with plus and negative, we usually just go ahead and write that as negative, right? Negative and positive and negative stay negative. So plus a negative is usually just written as minus, which is why I changed that to minus 3a. And then notice there's no like terms there. All right, none of those terms have the same literal parts. The 6 has no variable. Then there's an A, and then there's a B, right? None of those are the same, and so we have to leave it just like that. All right, now, in the second example, again, we have parentheses, but notice there's a negative in front of the parentheses, right? It's not a positive. If it's positive, I can just drop parentheses. If it's negative, I have to change the sign on everything that's in parentheses, and that's what you see that I did here. The 16x became negative. The negative 8 became positive. The negative 2x became positive. And the positive 4y became negative. And then I did check to see, did I have any like terms? And I did, right? I had x terms, exact same literal parts. And so I combined those with the numerical coefficient. Negative 16 plus 2, watch your signs, is negative 14x. Nothing else can be combined. And so I would leave it just like that. All right, now in this next example, we have a multiplier in front of parentheses. It's not just a positive or a negative. It's actually a number that's being multiplied. And so what I have to do there is make sure that I multiply it by every term. And again, a lot of times you may have seen this done as a distributive property. It's the same thing. All right, but what I did is I took that negative 4 and I multiplied it by the 5a, and I multiplied it by the negative 6b, everything that was in parentheses, right? That gave me negative 20a and positive 24b, right? Remember, negative times negative makes positive. And then the same thing had to happen for the 7 over here. It was a positive 7, but again, it had to be multiplied by everything inside parentheses. Right, so notice right here, I multiplied it by the 2ab. I multiplied it by the negative 4b squared. That became 14ab positive, and then negative 28b squared, right? Because a positive times a negative is negative. And then I did check to see, could I combine any like terms, but I couldn't. None of these four terms have the exact same literal part. There's an A, then there's a B, then there's an AB, then there's a B squared. None of those look exactly the same, so none of those can be combined further. All right, and then one more here, kind of a long one, but the same basic process. So I had a number in front of parentheses. Therefore, the first thing I did was multiply it by everything inside parentheses, right? So 2 times 3a gave me the 6a. 2 times negative 5b gave me negative 10b. And 2 times 6ab gave me 12ab, right? And then over here, same thing, but it's a negative 8, right? You have to take the sign with you that I'm multiplying by everything in parentheses. So negative 8 times 2a gave me negative 16a. Negative 8 times b gave me negative 8b. And negative 8 times negative 4ab gave me a positive, again, watch your signs, multiply two negatives, it becomes a positive 32ab. Right? Then I looked at that to see if I had any like terms, and I did. Right? I had a terms, right? Those are like terms. So I took the coefficient. 6 minus 16 is negative 10a. Did the same thing with my b terms. Had a negative 10 minus 8, that's negative 18b. And then my AB terms, I had 12 plus 32, and that's where I got my 44AB. All right, so you have to be very careful with these. You need to make sure you take them step by step, look at them one piece at a time, to make sure that you are correctly removing parentheses, correctly distributing signs, that's super important, and then correctly simplifying by only combining like terms. All right, so spend some time in the study plan for section 7.2, right? Practice these things heavily. And then once you're feeling pretty good about that, then I want you to come back and watch the video for the notes in section 7.3, where you're going to begin solving equations.